Oh my god! It's counter-programming a mania on this Friday night, because not only did we get an extra supersized SmackDown with an extra 30 minutes tacked on, ad-free 30 minutes tacked onto the end of SmackDown, we also got an AEW Rampage buy-in that lasted an hour, a pre-show for Rampage, the 1 hour before the 1 hour of Rampage, which somehow featured Bryan Danielson versus Minoru freaking Suzuki on YouTube for free. Oh my god. So we're gonna lead with that little match right there, because oh my god, they killed each other. It was amazing. Welcome to the WrestleTalk podcast review of AEW Rampage and WWE SmackDown. We're gonna talk about this match first. Send in your Ultrachats to WrestleTalk.com/support, because I really want to get people's opinions on this whole night of wrestling and what you think about the counter programming and what you thought the better show was and what your favorite match was and favorite moments and what you thought of SmackDown, because I thought SmackDown was actually pretty good this week. I thought it was a pretty good show overall. And Rampage, I thought was great. It was all really good night of wrestling, all in all, I think. But especially capped off with my favorite match across the two shows. Hot damn. Bryan Danielson versus Minoru Suzuki. Oh, this match was insane. Because as someone who hasn't watched all that many Suzuki matches, I've seen some of his bigger ones, but I'm not all that familiar with like the huge back catalogue of Suzuki matches in his career. When someone says Minoru Suzuki, I think this is going to be really stiff, hard-hitting, a Suzuki match, right? That's the thing you think of. What I don't think of when I think of Suzuki is a technical wrestling masterpiece. And you know what? This kind of had that in it at the same time. This was the perfect blend of what the two of these competitors are absolutely best at. Suzuki killing people as what Suzuki does best. Bryan Danielson, absolute technical wizardry in the ring. They had both aspects in this match, and the other one of them held their own against the guy that does it best in both aspects of this match. This was a wonderful, wonderful affair going back and forth. Started off with technical wrestling and just tiny little things that just make this thing for me. One little standoff they had in the match of Danielson trying to go for Suzuki's leg. And it's just like he kept like faking him out, like he was going to go for the leg and backing into the corner. And he's going to go, no, he's backing, going again. No, he's going to back again. And then he goes for it super quick and like scuttles along the floor, like on his knees, trying to like hook the leg. But Suzuki's going into the ropes, like trying to get him off his leg. And I was like, this is really awesome. Like just that little sequence was so cool. And then they just started hitting each other really, really hard. Oh, it was good. One particular punch that Bryan just sold like he just died. Like Suzuki just elbowed him in the face and he just dropped. And then the crowd chanted holy S word because Bryan's such a good seller. Oh my God, this match was so much fun.
Sure was, wasn't it? You know, it's been a while since a New Japan match was able to be had like in front of this kind of audience. I know they do their New Japan Strong and their US-based shows, but it's not exactly the same. This was like the finals of the G1 Climax in a raucous building with people that people cared about, and I was pretty excited. I was excited to see this match going in because, come on, it's Bryan Danielson, it's Minoru Suzuki. This has dream match written all over it for someone like me. And then you go in and you start, and they're just wrestling. They're just doing their little wrestle, and Bryan like slides in on his knees to try and go for the single leg takedown. And I was just like, I'm happy. I'm a happy wrestling fan. I'm a happy wrestling boy watching a good wrestling match. And it was just a series of moments like that where I was like, he's just wrestling. We're seeing American Dragon Bryan Danielson go out there and do a wrestle again. And it just warms my heart. It truly does. Because now that we've seen it a few times with a few different people, man, you got Daniel Bryan, who's like one of the best WWE stars that they've had. And then you've got Bryan Danielson. And it really is amazing how much better the matches are when you just take the reins off and let the artists go out there and make art. This match
take the
was
reins off, Tempest. You take the reins off.
Take the Roman Reigns off.
Like Roman Reigns.
Yeah. This match was great. It was absolutely great. I think I still like the Kenny Omega match more than this one because I've seen a lot of people saying match of the year and whatnot. But man, if Bryan Danielson can just have incredible matches like this on a somewhat regular basis, we could be in for like the best run of Bryan Danielson's career. He's off to a great start.
Yeah. Like I think if someone said that they preferred this match over the Kenny Omega match, I wouldn't just be like, wait, what? Like, I feel like the fact that you can legitimately go, oh, no, yeah, that's a fair point. Like, I can see where you're coming from with that. Just shows how good this match is. Like, oh, so much fun. There was one point, I just looked at my notes again. There's one point where they were just trading these stiff blows back and forth. Classic Suzuki stuff, right? And at one point, Suzuki just puts his hands behind his back. I legitimately gasped when he did it. Put his hands behind his back and was like, oh, go on, hit me again. And I was like, oh god, no. And yeah, what a bloody match. So much fun. They just kept going, and I really like the finishing sequence as well, where they were just doing counter after counter after counter after counter after counter. It's like bouncing off the ropes. Bryan hit his knee. 1, 2, 3. Bryan gets the win. Oh, great stuff. I don't think this is match of the year, but this is definitely up there. This is like top 10 for me of the year. I think pretty comfortably. This was so much fun. I enjoyed myself so much watching this.
I think top 10 is quite fair, you know, because it's difficult because like you kind of forget about some of the matches that took place early in the year. And as someone who does still watch all the big New Japan shows, I can pretty comfortably say that there's been a number of matches that they've done that have been better than this one. But that being said, if you said top 10, I'd be like, yeah, that's about right. We also just, as Pilot points out in the comments here, we've gotten the Young Bucks and the Lucha Brothers, which I think is still my match of the year personally. So you can never say no to more match of the year candidates. A great year in wrestling is kind of defined by how many match of the year candidates you have. So if this is another one, then I think that's just a big win for all of us fans getting to see it.
And the thing is, like, the fact that we're really struggling to piece together what our best match of the year would be is like, that's a good sign. you know? And I've seen a few other people like comparing this to Walter and Dragunov from TakeOver as well. That's another like masterclass of a match. Like so many great contenders from this year. And this, I think, was just another one of those, which was awesome. But more than this match as well, the reason this was taking place, we'll talk about this a little bit briefly now, was this just seemed like straight up counter programming from AEW, because it seems like in the entirety of the time that AEW's existed, it's been WWE have been counter programming AEW. They're the people who moved NXT to USA to counter program AEW after AEW been announced. It was when they put on, Great American Bash for NXT after AEW done their stuff. This felt like the first time that AEW had gone, you want to play ball? Let's play ball. I can counter program too. After WWE had announced that on FS1 they're going to be doing the Supersized Smackdown, doing the extra ad-free half hour that's going to eat into Rampage. Then AEW like, okay, and then decided to put on the buy-in on YouTube that had the three matches that were on it: Bobby Fish versus Lee Moriarty, this Danielson Punk match, and Ty Conti versus the Santana Garrett. I was going to say the Bunny, but that is wrong. That was Ruby Soho on the main show. And I think the fact that they can just put on Danielson versus Suzuki for free on YouTube, put on a great match, I do not see the problem with that. Fans benefit. They get an awesome match. Yay. More options for fans to watch stuff. If this isn't your style of match, if this doesn't appeal to you, then you've still got SmackDown to watch. All good, fans benefit. It benefits AEW for putting on more content, for putting out this kind of stuff. It doesn't mess up any AEW storylines. I don't feel like the AEW programming has been compromised because they've just been hot-shotting matches and going back and forth and ruining whatever stories they've been doing. It just benefits wrestling fans. I don't see any problems with it at all, personally.
I think that's the big key to this, because when WWE would do stuff like this with like the Great American Bash last year, like they were hot-shotting title changes. Like they put the title on Keith Lee like overnight just to be like, oh, we got to get a big number. And that was something where it's like, well, you could have built a little bit more to that. You know, it felt like they'd rushed a moment for the sake of a number. Here, it's just like they've got so much talent on this roster and so much talent available to them from other companies that you can have an amazing, amazing match like Danielson and Suzuki. And it's just like, well, we're just going to have a great match. It's not like this match was planned for 2 months down the line and now it's being rushed and everything. Like, no, there's a difference between just putting on a really competitive show and hot-shotting. And I don't feel like AEW has crossed the threshold into hot-shotting with any of this. So thumbs up all around. I don't necessarily want them to keep doing this because it makes it a lot harder for me to watch all the shows when they're longer and also at the same time. But for one night, I'll take a little bit more Rampage. This was fun.
Yeah, I think as a special one-off, I don't inherently see a problem with it. If they want to keep putting on more Match of the Year contenders for free on YouTube, yeah, go ahead. Why not? You know,
yep.
Wrestling fans are going to benefit in the long run, so why the hell not? But anyway, we'll talk about the rest of Rampage in a little bit here. But now let's get into some of your Ultra Chats here and see what you guys think. Let's see. We've got a message here from Valab Mamadipudi that I think was on yesterday's show. I might be wrong. It says Tony D'Angelo is OSW boy stable material. Yes, I use my free member chat that I get once a month to say this. All right.
Hey, forget about it. Tony D'Angelo. You got a problem? I go down to the docks and I make the problem disappear.
Tony D'Angelo. But actually, the Ultra Chats regarding the Danielson Suzuki match. This profile isn't real, though. Says, brilliant move by AEW putting that match on YouTube. Every wrestling fan in Japan is going to watch that match. Probably everyone in the UK and Australia, too. That match is like a code. It says, if you understand this match, you are with us. This is for you. This is something I really like about AEW as a whole. It's just like, here's all this wrestling and all these different styles. Not all of it has to appeal to you. But if you get it, you understand these styles. You understand wrestling. This is good. I like it.
Yeah, I will maintain this forever. Wrestling should be diverse. Not just in like diversity of the performer, that too, obviously, but the diversity of styles. A mix of styles makes for a more exciting show. That's why when you see a WWE pay-per-view, the matches can be very good, but they can also get kind of tiring by the end because many of them will follow a similar formula. But here, no two matches on any of these shows feel like they're the exact same. And that goes for this company. This goes for big New Japan shows. This goes for the great NXT takeovers. All the matches feel different, and it makes the matches feel so much more exciting and go by so much quicker. Love it.
Yeah, for sure. Luke Neal said, I love the Suzuki-Danielson match. One of the best matches I've seen in a long time and one of my new favorites. Also, as a wrestler, do you work out a lot, Tempest? Because I would love to be a wrestler and I feel like I'm too small. LIW.
Should have worn a better shirt so you can see these pecs.
see the pecs going.
Oof. See the pec pop of love. Yeah. If you want to be a wrestler, basically any time that you have, you want to be eating right or going for a run, working on cardio, or banging away in the gym if you're not in the ring and stuff like that. I would have liked to have done a lot more of that over pandemic, but the world stopped. But yes, do that if you want to be a wrestler.
Ronan C says Bryan Danielson has been in AEW a month, and in that time has had my two favorite matches of the year. Yeah, I mean,
he's great, isn't he?
We said even in his time in WWE, we were like, Daniel Bryan is like the best wrestler in the world. When he's let loose, he's the best wrestler in the world. And now he's gone to AEW, and the reign's been taken off, and now we've gone, he's the best wrestler in the world.
It's
so
incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It really is. Like I will be perfectly honest. When someone goes to WWE for a while, they kind of drop off of the list for me in terms of like who's the best wrestler in the world. Usually it's like AJ Styles would stick in there for a while, but then you just keep watching people like Kenny Omega, Shingo Takagi, Tomohiro Ishii, Kazuchika Okada, Tanahashi, whoever, just put on like great match after great match after great match. And in WWE, they're not allowed to have great matches that often. But then as soon as they leave WWE, you've got Bryan Danielson having 2 match of the year contenders within a month of each other. Boom! Like, it's incredible. Just if they would just let the wrestlers wrestle, they would have the best roster in the world with the best matches, but they don't want to do it.
Yeah, it's wild, isn't it? It's crazy.
It's wild.
Farts McCool says Dragon versus Suzuki should be known as the YouTube classic going forward. Incredible match, just beautiful. BWO for life.
I'm sure Stevie Richards and the Blue Meanie will appreciate you showing up for them in 2021.
Yeah. Laxmi says the Danielson Suzuki match. Oh, buddy, that first elbow which knocked Danielson to the mat had me legit concerned. And Punk is getting less and less rusty with each match. Maybe a few matches later, he needs a long-term angle to sink his teeth into. I agree.
Yeah, I thought there would be more play with Team Taz going forward. I thought that this was going to kind of build up to Punk and Ricky Starks in a match, possibly at Full Gear or something, which we might get to. But it does kind of feel like he's just like, I'm just going to have a few matches first, get warmed up. And I've enjoyed all the matches. I love this match with Matt Sydal, but I'm interested for a big angle at this point.
Matthew Robinson says, Suzuki versus Bryan on YouTube. OMG, how is this possible? This is a Wrestle Kingdom match, right?
Sure is.
Pretty much, yeah.
Great way to describe it.
Yeah. CJ Thornton says, I don't have cable or live TV, so I wasn't able to watch SmackDown or Rampage, so I'm just here for your guys' review. Also, Suzuki versus Bryan was everything I ever wanted and more. The moment when it was a standoff between chop and kick was just gorgeously rough. Love it.
It was a work of art. It was, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good match. It's pretty good. Yeah.
Matthew Robinson says, Tempest, how much did you mark out to the Bryan Suzuki match?
I just kind of sat there and watched it like with a big smile on my face. It's just like you getting to watch the dream match, and throughout the entire thing, it's going as well as you had hoped it would, and you're just kind of like, yeah.
This is living up to expectations.
This is the thing I wanted, and it's perfect. Yeah.
We'll do a quick couple more, and then we'll get into the Rampage review here. Hawk the Outcast 823 says, first time Ultra Chat. Thank you. The only thing that would have made the Danielson match better is if they had bled into Rampage on TNT, forcing anyone who was watching SmackDown on their TV and the buy-in on their phones immediately change the channel. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm in two minds because I genuinely thought that, like, when they were getting towards the end of it, I was like, what if they just went into Rampage itself and they had like the final 5 minutes was on Rampage? I was like, that would be a really cool way to start it and make it feel a bit more like real. But also the people that were like watching on YouTube and like don't have cable or just don't watch like Rampage, they'd be robbed of the finish to a match, and I don't like that. So I don't know. I don't know if I like it.
I think it also doesn't really work because think of all the people that will go back and watch it after the fact who don't have the ability to just like, and it's live, flip over to the other thing. So you're just watching the match, and then the finish isn't there. And then you got to go and track down the last 5 minutes of it on another show. I think it's interesting in concept, but in execution, I think it would just kind of frustrate people.
Yeah, for sure. Tio Seminario says, I want to see Ishii in AEW, especially versus Danielson.
Give me Ishii. Yes.
Please.
Ooh,
please
Ishii versus Miro. Ishii versus Eddie Kingston.
Yeah.
Oh.
Ishii versus anyone, really. Ishii is a monster. I love that man. Anyway, we'll get into the rest of your Ultra Chats here later on. For now, let's get to talking about the other shows. We've got lots to cover because we have an extra hour of Rampage and an extra half an hour of SmackDown. So we're going to speed through these reviews today. So On Rampage, we started off with Conti versus Santana Garrett, which was a decent little match. Nothing too special or fancy about it, but I thought Conti looked really good coming out of this one. Although she had some really good clean offense. I think she's improving all the time. Every match she does, I'm like, man, Conti's really getting good. And she had some really cool, like few pump kicks in the corner finish spot, which I thought was really cool, into her DDT to finish. Good match.
Yeah, I thought it was a good match. I thought it was funny, too, because there was a lot of people pointing out on Twitter yesterday that this was the match that a lot of people, when they saw Tay Conti in NXT, were just like, oh, she can't work. This match is a disaster, blah, blah, blah. And now they're putting it on TV after her having been in AEW for a year plus. And you see how much she's grown as a performer just in the last year. Like, she is a very capable, good pro wrestler at this point. Still a little bit green because she hasn't been doing this for too long compared to some other people, but there's definite growth and definite she's perfect now. Like, not a perfect wrestler, but she's perfectly adequate in this role. And that's all I want as long as you're trending upward. It was just such a fun little match. Like, it didn't need to be amazing, but it was a sign of growth. And that's what I want from any new wrestler.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And yeah, I could totally see her at some point in the next year to 2 years. I could totally see her as TBS champion.
Oh, absolutely.
That'd be great for her if she did that as well.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree.
Yeah. After that, we got Bobby Fish versus Lee Moriarty. I thought this was probably the weakest thing on Rampage, but I thought it was good fun regardless.
I love Lee Moriarty.
Yeah, both of them I thought was very, very cool. It was a good match. Bobby Fish came out looking good and got the win in the end. Lee Moriarty also looked good in defeat. It was a match that was there. It was good. Both of them looked good coming out of it. Thumbs up.
Yep, I'm going to be very much looking forward to seeing how Lee Moriarty climbs up the ranks in AEW. Because, you know, he's one of those guys that is signed on from the indies. And a lot of the times, like, he's not the huge free agent signing that obviously a Punk, a Cole, you know, the Bryan Danielsons are, whereas you immediately, they're shooting right to the top, right? But he's got a little bit more buzz coming in about him than someone like a Will Hobbs last year, or a number of these other free agent signings off the indies where no one knew who they were beforehand other than people who watched their little independent circuits. But he's a guy with a lot of potential, and he's a guy that could be pushed decently hard right out of the gate. I'm just curious to see whether they'll do that or not.
We shall have to wait and see. And then after that, we obviously got Danielson versus Suzuki, which you've already spoken about. Oh my god, it was so much fun.
It was really, really good. It's really good wrestle.
Then we got into the main Rampage card itself, which started off with CM Punk versus Matt Sydal. I did not think this was going to be as good as it was. Nothing against, obviously, Punk or Sydal. I think they're both fantastic wrestlers. But I don't know what I was expecting from this, but this was better. This was really, really fun. And there were several points. They were really building to Sydal hitting one particular move. I forget the actual like technical name for it. But they were really building to it repeatedly through this match. He eventually hit it, and I was like, Sydal winning? Like he's not winning. He's not beating CM Punk on a ramp. Like, it's not happening. But I bought into a couple of them. I was like, damn, this is a really good match. As one of the Ultrachats mentioned, I think Punk is getting better and better with each match. He's just like kind of just chipping away at that ring rust, just getting back to where it was before. And this was another example of Punk just getting back to his old ways again. Really fun sequences in this match. Really close near falls. Thumbs up once again.
Yeah,
good stuff. CM Punk gets the win, obviously. Cool transition to GTS as well.
Yeah, I really enjoyed a lot of the subtle moments in this match. You know, like even just them shaking hands and Punk just kind of like patting him on the chest at the start. You know, because these are two guys that have never really been linked on screen. You know, like they have history, obviously, and just that they've wrestled, you know, a lot dating back a number of years, but it's not like they were rivals, or it's not like they were tag partners or something like that. But I did like the acknowledgement that, hey man, you and I have been in the game for a long time. you know, and they did the little video package beforehand where they showed them wrestling in IWA Mid-South in like 2002 or whatever it was. And it's just like, man, these guys have been wrestling for a long time. But I like the acknowledgement of that kind of stuff, because then when you see them go out there and have kind of like a friendly competition wrestling match, as opposed to like a deep-seated hatred kind of wrestling match, you know, where we just saw Punk wrestle Daniel Garcia and Powerhouse Hobbs, where he's fighting for his life, he's fighting off 2.0 at ringside, he's fighting off Hook. This one's just a friendly competition. And I really, really like that you can see the difference in the work. You know, they're not just telling you, oh, these guys are having a friendly wrestling match. No, the work is different because the matches are different. I just love AEW. This kind of stuff just tickles my fancy.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, it was very good. But yeah, Punk got the win. Was good stuff. The Dark Order backstage put out a challenge to the Super Click. Dark Order versus Young Bucks and Adam Cole. Which makes sense. They were saying that they didn't want the Super Click to get involved in. And Hangman Page is back and he's got the title shot, but we don't want you ruining Hangman's return or whatever, so we want to fight you. And I was like, that makes sense. I'm all for it. That's going to be a fun match. Yay. And then after that, we got Ruby Soho versus the Bunny. I thought this match was good. I wasn't a huge fan of the roll-up finish. I would have preferred Ruby get a convincing victory over the Bunny, especially because it's the Bunny, who's not like, you know, one of the big top protected names in AEW. She's someone who can lose, especially to a bigger name like Ruby Soho. So I would have preferred her to get an actual finisher pinfall victory here, but a decent match nonetheless. And then Penelope Ford came down and hit her with the brass knucks after the match, which I felt was a little bit repetitive, what they've been doing with Ford and the Bunny as of right now. I'm sure it'll lead to something good, but feels a little bit like just kind of treading water at this point.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of how a lot of the booking goes for shows like this, where it's like, if you're not going to be at the top, you're going to be wrestling the folks in the middle, and you're kind of just going to go and wrestle around for a little bit and do that until a spot opens up, which I don't think is necessarily a bad way to book. I do agree that this should have been a decisive finish and not a backslide or what have you. But yeah, I'm in the middle of it. I don't love it, but I'm also not like offended by it either.
No.
Like, you got to give Ruby Soho something to do, and she's still, you know, she won this match. I think she's going to be booked strong throughout this and kept very strong until she's able to go for either the TBS championship or go and get another shot at the AEW Women's Championship. It's just, this is what she's going to be doing in the middle. In the meantime, it's like, it's a solid okay. It's a solid, decent little feud that she'll have.
Yeah, for sure. But she still looks good coming out of it. And no one came to save her. And commentary put over, like, you need friends in AEW. Like, if you don't have friends, you're going to really struggle, which makes a lot of sense for AEW because it's factions everywhere. But then we got the main event, which was the Inner Circle of Jericho, Hager, and Guevara versus Men of the Year and Junior Dos Santos, which felt massive. I wasn't super into this feud. Like, I thought it was cool. Like, you know, Jorge Masvidal coming in and hitting his knee on Jericho. I was like, that's a cool angle. That's a fun little inclusion. But I wasn't super jazzed about this feud or anything. But when they were coming out and they just were like starting to stare off, and you had the whole of like American Top Team coming out, and everyone was starting to get ready for the match, and Hager had taken his top off and he was like bouncing around the ring. I was like, this feels big time. Like, this feels like a really big deal. Which was, I was surprised when I got that feeling. I was like, I didn't think I was too into this feud, but this feels very important. And they had the split screen promos beforehand as well, which I thought was decent stuff. Classic good promos, I think, on either side. And I thought the match was pretty good as well. I thought Junior Dos Santos looked really good coming out of this. Obviously very protected in a big six-man tag environment, but man, when he got to shine, he shined. I think he looked really, really good. And I honestly, it's a distraction finish. I'm not a huge fan of distraction finishes. This one really worked for me.
Yeah.
This is how you do a distraction finish right. This one really, really worked. Because this was the heels coming in, looking like they were on the back foot here. But Paige Van Zandt at the side distracted the referee. Jorge Masvidal comes in, knees Jericho again, and just slides out the ring, leaving Scorpio Sky to pick up the pinfall victory, which was really cool. And everyone hated it. All the heel heat came right in. This was actual heel heat. You had the crowd chanting "asshole" at all the people in the ring. They were beaten up, all of Inner Circle afterwards. For Proud and Powerful came down and to make the save. But this was just good stuff. It was a distraction finish that really worked, and it helped build heel heat because they don't do distraction finishes all that often. So when you have it like this, it's good. I like it.
Yeah, I think it helps that that Jorge Masvidal was involved. You know, when when the distraction finish involves like the biggest star involved in all this, something that you're kind of still interested to see more of, I think it helps a lot more than if it was just, you know, one of the other people where it's just like, yeah, okay, distraction finish. But it's still shocking to me every time I see Jorge Masvidal get involved physically, you know? So when I see that again, I was like, oh, big stuff's happened. They're going to be on Sports Center tomorrow, you know, and stuff like that. And I like that, you know. I thought the finish was good. You know, it was solid. You got a chance for someone to pin Chris Jericho, which they can then talk about. And then you build up to whatever match we're going to get at the pay-per-view. Maybe we get Jericho versus Masvidal. I don't know. That sounds like a big deal, but I'm into it. I'm mildly into it. I haven't been super into Men of the Year and American Top Team before the promo that they cut a week or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was. But this was pretty solid. If they do more stuff like this, they'll hook me. Yeah,
for sure. And I think what they might be building to is a proper 5-on-5, maybe. And they have the entirety of Inner Circle versus American Top Team and Men of the Year, which I think might be quite fun if that is the case. Maybe that's the Full Gear match. We'll see. But that was the end of Rampage, and I thought it was a really fun show. That buy-in match was so good. Oh my god! And I thought that the actual main Rampage card, the main Rampage card, I thought was still really, really good. Had some solid matches. It's classic Rampage formula. Solid matches. People look good coming out of it. Nothing super special or fancy or crazy, but people look really good coming out of it, and it furthers some stories. Awesome, great. And then you also had the buy-in match, which was amazing. So this was a great Rampage. This was an awesome Rampage. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I honestly, and this might shock some people here, I did think that 2 hours worth of Rampage might have been a little too much, personally, because I was watching some of the matches here, and I was like, some of these matches don't necessarily need to be quite this long, you know? Like when Rampage is just 1 hour, and you have like 3 or 4 matches in that hour, and they're all given a decent amount of time and flesh them out, I think that works perfectly. Once you stretch it to 2 hours, then I'm like, okay, I could have used maybe a promo in here just to break up things a little bit. And they don't do that on Rampage. So I don't know. That was just me. I didn't think it was a bad show by any means. I'd still say this is like a 4 or 5 out of 5, you know, just because of that Bryan Danielson match. But going forward, if they're going to end up doing more 2-hour Rampages, I think they should mix in a promo or a segment of some kind, you know, in the middle here just to break up an hour and a half to 2 hours of just nothing but wrestling. Nice balance, perhaps.
I agree, for sure. Just before we move on from Rampage, I did just want to highlight that Luke tweeted me today that says, Danielson vs. Suzuki was in fact pretty great. Feel free to use that in the podcast review. I will, Luke. I did. I just used it. There you go. Suck it, Luke. And also, I just got one GIF from the Danielson Suzuki match, which I really, really, really enjoyed. Suzuki just taking the ref aside, straightening him up. Okay, we're going back to the match now.
Good job, Bryce. Killing it.
I really enjoyed Suzuki in that little moment. That was great. But yeah, so let's move on to SmackDown now. That was Rampage. Let's talk about SmackDown, which I thought, spoilers, was actually a pretty good show. Overall, there was a few negative points, which I'll get to. But I thought overall this was pretty good. So this was the Supersized show. First off, this show was not worthy of an extra half an hour. There was not an extra half an hour's worth of content on this show. All of the stuff that happened on the show could have fit into a 2-hour show. I will admit that the main event match, not the main event segment, the main event match of Becky versus Banks definitely got more time than they would have otherwise had with this extra half an hour, which is great. But you definitely still could have fit that length of match in a 2-hour show if you cut out some of the other fluff on the show. Like, they had 2 full rundowns of Crown Jewel on this show. It's like, you didn't need both of those. You could cut that back a bit. Lots of like long recaps and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If you cut those things out, all of this stuff could fit on a 2-hour show. But I'm happy at least that some of the matches did get more time than they otherwise would have on a normal 2-hour show in the WWE style, as it were. But regardless, this show opened up with a long recap package of Edge and Rollins, and Edge cutting a promo. It was at this point that I realized that it was actually it's the go home show for Crown Jewel, because it's happening next Thursday, so it's before next Friday's SmackDown. So this is actually the go-home show for Crown Jewel. And I thought that Edge did a really good job here. Very fiery promo about how Rollins, he isn't Edge light. He's Seth freaking Rollins, but, you know, he underestimated Edge at SummerSlam. I underestimated Seth on SmackDown, and we're one apiece. But now, no one's underestimating each other. We're inside Hell in a Cell, and it's going to be decisive. I'm going to scar your soul.
Scar your soul. Yeah.
Edgy. But with Edge. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good promo.
If this friggin' match wasn't in Saudi Arabia, I'd be really looking forward to it. You know what I mean? Honestly, if this had gone and been like at Survivor Series or something like that, have the blow off in a big, maybe they're still going to go out there and try and have like a 5-star match in this Hell in a Cell. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how Saudi Arabia affects the quality of this one. We'll see. But that being said, I think that they've done a very good job with this feud. I thought Edge had a very good promo that elevated not only him and his investment in it, but also Seth Rollins and trying to elevate him. I think it just it ticked all the boxes for what you want out of a great babyface promo from a legend. And some people might think that I'm going to scar your soul. It was a little bit too much in the cartoony, wacky wrestling bit, but I don't know. I'm still kind of into it. I think Edge is from an era where you can kind of get away with some of that. You know, if the rest of the promo is still great, you can get away with a corny line.
And I also think that Edge delivered it well enough. I think in someone else's hands, that might have been a bit like, ugh, when someone else said it. But I think Edge delivered it very well, so it kind of made up for it. But yeah, good promo overall. Maybe a bit more excited for the match. Still won't be watching, but, you know, it was good. We then got a quick recap of the King of the Ring matches from last week, and then we've got the semi-final match of Finn Balor versus Sami Zayn, and hot damn, this match was fun, because once again, they have 2 very good wrestlers, and they let them wrestle. It's great. Yeah. It's awesome. Good.
Novel concept, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. So many back and forths that I was not expecting, because Sami Zayn he's been getting some wins over, you know, Dominic and Rey Mysterio, but like, before that, he was kind of just a comedy joke, you know? And he's going against the guy who was just facing Roman Reigns for the Universal title. Not that you'd know that, because they literally haven't referenced it since. But he came very close to winning this match. Like, on a couple of occasions, I was like, is Sami going to win? Like, oh my God, these are some really close near falls. Really, really good stuff back and forth. There's like the full setup for Balor doing his like coup de grace and was going to go off and then like missed. And I was like, Sami's winning. Balor's just done the whole setup for the coup de grace and he's missed. Like, Sami's obviously going to win. Got like a deep roll-up pin on him. And I was like, that's going to be it, right? And no, it was a near-fall kick out, really close near-fall kick out. Went back and forth, like loads of like exploders, blue thunder bombs. There was like an illegal pin from Sami that got spotted. He like dodged a haluva kick. Balor did like the full setup again, like multiple shotgun drop kicks. Hit the coup de grace and then, managed to get the win in the end. Really fun match. Had me going back and forth for a while. It was good.
Very much so. You know, it felt like every once in a while you get a couple of guys that were in like the old era of NXT and they have a match like this where it could have been on NXT like 5-6 years ago. And I'm just like, I remember those days. You know, because sometimes they get put on the main roster and then you just kind of, the NXT shine wears off over time, you know, but then every once in a while we still get a great match like this and it brings it back to the good old days. And I like that. I like that a lot. I did not think that Sami Zayn was going to win because I don't foresee him going to Saudi Arabia anytime soon. But that being said, in the moments where I was like, oh my, that's a deep pin. You know, like it tricks you every once in a while. And that's how you know that moments like that are really good. You know, even if you know that someone's winning or losing, if they can still make you doubt for like one quick second, they're doing the job. This is a fun match.
Yeah, exactly. There's some really good matches in the past. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but there's some really good matches. When you go back in the past, you already know who's winning at the end of it, and you go back and you still buy into the near falls. It's like, that's real good. And this is what it was like as me. It's like, obviously I know Finn's going to win, but there was a couple times I was like, but is he though? Like, you know, it was one of those moments. We got a Paul Heyman video package next, which I thought was actually pretty good. You know, there was a lot of recapping in the video package, as WWE tends to do. But what I liked about this was it took all the bits specifically about Paul Heyman and about his allegiance with Brock Lesnar, showed like massive highlights of him being Brock Lesnar's advocate, Brock Lesnar's return at SummerSlam, and all like the bits of the subtle storytelling that they've been doing with Paul Heyman, with his allegiance with Reigns and his allegiance with Lesnar and whose side he's really on. And they played with those subtle bits and kind of stitched them all together into this video package, which I think is exactly something that you should do, because subtle storytelling is fantastic if it builds to a climax, but you do need to make that subtleness more overt the closer you get to that climax.
Precisely, yes.
And I think this did that perfectly. It was playing on that subtle, those subtle nods that they've been doing throughout this feud, put them all together in this video package, which highlighted everything greatly, which then paid off in the main event segment in the contract signing, and is going to build really nicely into Crown Jewel. Again, I think this is a really, really decently told story that they've been doing. And I thought this was a great little video package highlighting it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Not every moment of the Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman story has been like perfectly smooth, but the story that they're telling, the overall story itself, is still one I'm invested in. I'm still interested to see what happens at Crown Jewel with Roman and Paul and Brock. You know, whether I watch the show live, I don't know. I'm not worried about that yet. But this part of the story has hooked me. I am very intrigued in seeing how this plays out. And it builds more into the match that we're getting than some of the other things that we've seen, where when Roman's involved with the Usos and Paul Heyman in the past, it's because he's wrestling someone like Finn Balor, Rey Mysterio, or Cesaro at the pay-per-view, and the focus isn't put on the opponent. Here, the focus is put onto the opponent and how Brock and Paul all are going to interact with all of this. I like it. I think this is a good way to build up a pretty big match.
Just a shame it's in Saudi, really. We then had Naomi versus Sonya Deville, but not really. Shocker. Naomi had an in-ring return here, as did Sonya Deville. But they had a little close-up of Sonya Deville's face in Gorilla, but it was just her face, and I was like, well, she's in her suit, isn't she? And they came up after that break, and yeah, she was. But she came out, and she's not an authority figure, remember, but she made it a handicap match with her and Shayna Baszler against Naomi. This was a very short match. They took control. Naomi had a bit of a hope spot, but Shayna Baszler came back, did the Kirifuda clutch, basically made her pass out, but didn't make her pass out, I guess. And then Sonya Deville put a foot on Naomi and pinned her. 1, 2, 3. Sonya Deville wins. I was confused as to why Shayna Baszler would want to join forces with Sonya Deville, because they, especially in the last few weeks, they've kind of been positioning Baszler as a bit of like the lone wolf character. Like, she's totally by herself. Now she's got rid of Nia Jax. She's just going to come out and murder some people because that's what she do. So I was a bit confused about the allegiance with Sonya Deville, but if they explain it, I'm all for it. This was okay. It's just that Sonya Deville's still getting the one-up on Naomi, and you need Naomi to actually win at some point.
Yeah. False advertising. I don't like false advertising.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, it's whatever. I just haven't been into this feud very much. You know, I think it's just so odd that they've just decided that Naomi sucks and Sonya hates her for no reason. It's not like she spilled Sonya Deville's coffee on her first night back at SmackDown and she's got a vendetta against her. No, she's just got a vendetta against her, and we've yet to find out why. And if I had faith that they would tell us why, then I would kind of be like, all right, let's see. I don't think we're going to get a reason why. I think she just hates her. And that's probably why I'm not super into it, you know? But, like, the action was fine. I wasn't a huge fan of Naomi, like, going after Sonya, and Shayna's like, no, you got to fight me. And then Naomi hits, like, a kick and takes Shayna out. I thought if this was going to work, it should have been, like, Shayna killing Naomi, you know, from the get-go. You can still get a hope spot in and everything, but I don't know. I didn't think Shayna looked as strong as I would have booked this. But what can you do? This was one of the lower points on the show, in my opinion, but not as bad as other things. Yeah.
Not the lowest. That's coming later. Michael Cole on commentary after the match said, I still don't understand what Sonya has against Naomi. I was like, me too, Michael Cole. Mm-hmm. Me too. Sure. Hit Row coming soon. Oh
boy.
Tempest, they're coming soon.
His name was just Swerve on the graphic.
Yeah.
I don't think he's got a full name anymore.
It's all good. It's fine. Don't worry. They're not dead yet.
Still good.
Be
it's
hopeful.
Still good. I'm watching the pig fly in The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a little slimy. It's still good.
It's just a little airborne. It's still good. Yeah. Banks had a promise to win.
I love Hit Row so much. I don't want anything bad to happen to them.
I know. Banks cut a promo saying she's going to beat Becky later. We then got a full rundown of the Crown Jewel card, but not Mansoor versus Ali. You see, Ali was upset about that. He tweeted about it. It's been like, just so you guys know, me versus Mansoor is still happening on the show, despite it not being promoted on SmackDown at all.
Poor Ali.
Poor Ali. He's been screwed over so many times in WWE. Like, Brock Lesnar winning Money in the Bank. Ali was going to win that match, and he was told, as people were entering for that match, he gets pulled aside to be like, JK, Brock Lesnar's winning. Like, how rough. Retribution, the SmackDown hacker, all of that stuff. Him saying that they were going to have their feud pay off. The whole Retribution breakup thing was going to pay off at WrestleMania and then happened on the Fastlane pre-show. Man, that guy's been screwed over so much in WWE.
He's so talented. He's so good. Like, he had a match with Ricochet on Main Event where I was like, I saw the highlights. I was like, Jesus Christ. You can't put this on Raw and, like, give people something to be excited about? They're so good. What's happening? He's someone that I don't just wish people would leave WWE because you don't know their circumstances. Maybe they're happy to make their money, whatever. Yeah. I want to see Ali in a position that reflects his talents, whether that be in this company or otherwise, because he is bloody great. He is great. I want to see him succeed.
Seth Rollins cut a rebuttal promo to Edge, came out to the ring and said that he's not afraid or intimidated to face Edge inside Hell in a Cell, and repeated that point. And because he's a heel, that means he is afraid and intimidated to face Edge inside Hell in a Cell. I really like that. It's just him being like trying to mask his own fears, because we saw him sell it last week on last week's SmackDown that he is scared of Hell in a Cell, as he should be. That's sort of the point. But he also said what I thought was a pretty good promo, and him saying at the end that he's been in the cell for more time than Edge has. The cell has shaped him into who he is today. He is who he is because of Hell in a Cell. And I was like, that's actually kind of true, because he started turning heel because of Hell in a Cell 2019. Like, that's actually kind of accurate, and I really like that as like a kayfabe reason of him just being like, oh, the cell's destructive and it changes people, and also from like a little wink and a nod kind of thing at the camera, being like, do you remember Hell in a Cell 2019? That's when I turned heel. I really liked it. It was good, even if that wasn't intentional. That's a nice little nod, I think. It was good.
No, I quite like that. Honestly, it made the promo for me, because so often people will say stuff like that, and I was like, well, that's not true. That match had nothing to do with your character motivation and everything. But this is one of the times where it's pretty true. You know, he can go out there and believably say, I am who I am because that cell destroyed me. And you look back at the timeline of everything, and that match did kill him as a babyface. He was forced to turn heel because of the reaction he was getting after that. So I just like when people tell the truth. They always say in wrestling, if you tell truth 1, 2, and 3, when you lie on number 4, people will be more inclined to believe you. So the more truth that you can put into matches and promos like this, the better. And this was a perfect example of that. I thought it was a really good promo.
Yeah, it was great. Edge and Rollins, I think, combined across the 2 promos, really helped elevate their match coming at Crown Jewel. It's just in Saudi, isn't it?
Yeah,
so,
it sure is.
I still won't be watching. But, you know, they're doing their best. We've got a recap of the Queen's Crown tournament matches. Carmella and Zelina Vega are best friends backstage, saying that they want to have a good, clean, fun, friendly match. So then when they do actually wrestle, Carmella doesn't need the mask for this match. She says to the people, I don't need it. It's fine. I'm going to wrestle without the mask. Which then leads to, after like a minute or so of the match, she goes outside to get the mask again because she's like, oh, actually, I do need the mask now because Zelina Vega's mean or whatever. But Liv Morgan is there with the mask to be like, I've got your mask. And Carmella goes, oh, no. And then she gets back in the ring and then gets rolled up by Zelina Vega, and Zelina Vega wins and goes to the finals.
I think this would have been a moderately fine match if it wasn't in the tournament. Like, if you want to do a dumb, quick heel versus heel match with this stupid face mask gimmick and have Liv Morgan play into the finish, I think that's fine. This should not be the semifinals of your inaugural tournament. Oh my goodness, this tournament has just sucked. This tournament has been appalling. And
not great, is it?
No, that part's the shame of it. Like, I wanted the Queen's Crown tournament to be like, you could have so many cool matches in this tournament and give all the matches time. And I don't think booking it at the same time as the King of the Ring helps that, because there's just so much more going on. But man, if like Bianca Belair and like the 4 horsewomen that are around were all involved in this tournament and all the matches were like 15 minutes, this would have been so cool. But instead we're getting matches like this, and it's just like, don't like
yeah. And, you know, in terms of like a story, at least there was one. I'm glad they did the promo beforehand to explain why Carmella didn't want the mask in the match. So that was good. It's not like she just came out and was just like, I don't want it this time. It's like, why? Like, I don't know, at least they actually somewhat explained it beforehand and tried in that regard. So it's a small plus, but I'm taking those pluses where I can. So yeah, it was not great. Also, pet peeve of WWE commentary, of the many pet peeves I have with WWE commentary, can commentators please stop saying, oh, I don't think they got all of it. Stop calling out when stuff goes wrong. Oh my God. Like, there's a difference between if something like goes completely awry and, you know, they have to like redo a spot or whatever. You can't just be like, oh, I think they hit him in the head. Like, when they clearly didn't. That's why they're redoing the thing, right? But if you do something like, what was it? There was a thing where I think Sami Zayn jumped off the turnbuckle and Finn Balor hit a drop kick in the air. And I don't think it was the cleanest looking spot in the world, but like it was effective. Like, he hit him in the body somewhere and it still connected. It was fine. And they were like, oh, don't think he got all of it. And then it was just like, did he get enough? Let's find out on the replay. And it was just like, just say he kicked him, because he did. Yeah. And it's like, oh, caught him in the ribs, or, you know, wherever he actually hit him. It was like, he might have been aiming for the head, but he caught him in the ribs, and how you like, how the like that can still play into it, and how the ribs can be affected by caught him by surprise at being kicked in the ribs. Maybe he was expecting to be kicked in the face, or, you know, there's so many ways to cover it, and they just go, I didn't get all of it. Like, just stop doing that. Just calling out when stuff goes wrong. Just stop doing it. I don't know. That winds me up. But anyway, that's pet peeve. I'm allowed them, I promise. Also, through the night, I've written there was a few. We got various little video packages for various people that are coming to SmackDown after Crown Jewel, like Charlotte Flair, New Day, Sheamus. Drew McIntyre. They all got little highlight video packages of them being like, they're coming to SmackDown. Thought that was cool. Putting over the new guys coming to SmackDown. Good stuff. And then we got Happy Talk.
Well, I'm back to hating Baron Corbin.
Yeah. It wasn't long that we liked him, but now we're back to where we were before.
Bum-ass Baron Corbin was an actual fun character. And now we're just back to generic, stupid heel Baron Corbin. But he's got a geek friend now.
I just... everything about this segment was just awful. Like, the setup, Happy Talk was bad. Madcap Moss is bad. Corbin wasn't good. He wanted to do more jokes about the rest of the SmackDown roster. Please don't do that. Then they get interrupted by Boogs. The lights flicker when Boogs comes. Why? Does Boogs have powers now? Can he make the lights flicker?
Magic
because he's
guitar.
Rick Boogs?
He's got the guitar from the end of the SpongeBob movie.
Exactly. I'm a goofy goober. Rock. Anyway, he comes out and says he's rocking with Shinsuke Nakamura, and then they come out and I was like, okay, so this is going to lead to some sort of promo thing. And then I wrote my notes like, okay, Corbin is winning the IC title from Nakamura. Sure, whatever. I'm over it. I've long lost hope of Nakamura being used well in WWE. This doesn't anger me as much as it should. And then they didn't have a promo. Nakamura came out, and then they danced around the ring, and then they left. What you doing? Why'd you come out? They just did the entrance. WWE loves entrances so much that they think people will get over if you just do the entrance. Shinsuke did this at friggin' SummerSlam as well.
Yeah.
Just did the
I
entrance.
forgot about that. Yeah, you're right.
Didn't do anything. He's just come out, did the entrance around the ring, and then left again. And I was like, wait, what? Why is there's no interaction? Huh? Are they going to build a feud off that? Oh, none of this was good.
Yeah, remember when we were so ready for Shinsuke Nakamura and Baron Corbin to be done with each other? Now, granted, I think, they're going to separate shows, right?
Sure.
Nakamura and Boogs are going to Raw. That's right, isn't it? I don't know. Stupid draft.
No, I don't think
so.
I think
they're all on SmackDown?
Yeah, because Priest is still on Raw, right? Yeah.
I can't watch this feud happen again, Pete. It feels like it just ended. Like it just ended. Oh my god. That's a nightmare. I've just ruined my own day.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, this segment sucked. Yeah. This was not happy talk.
No, it really wasn't. Also, pet peeve. Give me it for this segment. The graphics that pop up on the screen when people are making the entrances, the little sidebar graphic.
Sure. Thing. No intangibles. 1 out of 10.
Yeah. Corbin's thing. Overcame his destitution by winning a large sum of money in Las Vegas. Who talks like that?
I'm glad I've got you to pay attention to this kind of stuff so that I don't have to.
Oh god. Senna did. I said, okay. Shinsuke, I'm reading my notes here. Shinsuke interrupts with Boogs. Corbin is going to win the IC title, isn't he? Pat McAfee is funny. Wait, that's it? He doesn't get in the ring. He just goes around it. What the F is this? Street Profits enter and Boogs plays the guitar to their theme. I don't understand WWE. Those are my notes for this segment.
All right. Let's get on to the good tag match.
Yeah.
Ready to be happy.
Street Profits entered. And you know what? Boogs playing the guitar for Street Profits entrance theme. I was like, that's cool. That's nice. Sounds cool. Anyway, we got a little video package for the New Day. And then we got the Street Profits versus the Usos for the SmackDown Tag Team titles in a street fight. Did I miss the setup for this match somewhere?
I was about to say.
Where did this come from?
Yeah. Like, I get this is just kind of what they pull out when they've got a big SmackDown show. It's like, tag title match. And recently it's tag title match with these two teams. But it was just like, they pulled out a table and I was like, you can't use a table in in a match, and then they had kendo sticks after the break. I was like this match is just a street fight. I missed that part. Yeah. Why is it a street fight? But
who cares?
It was a fun street fight.
Yeah. You know what? Superficial, bonkers, nonsense, didn't make any sense. It was so much fun. I love this match. I thought this was awesome. Oh my god, the kendo stick shots looked especially rough in this one. Like Dawkins was kneeling in the ring. Jey Uso gets the kendo stick and was like lining up like proper like baseball swing, like taking his time, and then just leathered straight into it, just bang, like straight into his back. I was like, oh, I feel so bad for Dawkins. But they got him back afterwards. It was good. Loads of kendo stick shots in this match. Montez Ford got put through a table towards the end, like a Uranage through the table, which is really good. And then they left Dawkins alone in the ring. Super kicks, double splash. Usos retain. Really fun match though. Really good stuff. Like, you know, me and Ollie were saying it for like the Raw after Extreme Rules when I was covering that with him. If it's superficial, bonkers nonsense that's fun, fine.
Yeah.
That's an improvement. That's fine. Just give me stuff that's fun. And this was really fun. Just do more of this. That's fine.
Absolutely. There's some really great near falls in this match too. There were finishers getting hit and some finish was being kicked out of. And Montez Ford hit his giant frog splash. And I was like, are they going to win the tag titles? And they pulled him out of the ring and stuff. And they got me a few times where I was like, this is just a really fun match. It's a fun match that I'm interested in, and there's a good near falls and good action and a lot of fun weapon shots and weapon spots, and they kick the chair into people's faces and stuff like that. I just liked it. This is really fun. Good stuff. Yep. Good job, SmackDown.
Absolutely, yeah. Becky then had a backstage promo saying that greatness is being undefeated in singles competition in nearly 3 years. My next line of my notes was, she's going to lose, isn't she?
Oh god.
Then we got a little Charlotte Flair video package, and then we went into the special extra half hour ad free, and we got Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks ad free. And you know what, this match ruled. It was really good match. I thought these two obviously have great chemistry, so much like history, like playing off together and stuff like that. I thought these two absolutely brought it. Really cool, like sequences back and forth, loads of interesting counters back and forth, really proving why they're two of the top women in WWE. Really great match. Finish wasn't good.
No.
Which I was not a fan of. Bianca Belair was on commentary, as is the way with this feud so far. Bianca then got involved because she got punched, so she came back. Becky was getting away from the bank statement, and she crawled like through the bottom rope and was holding on to the steps. And then Bianca came in and went to like whip Becky's hand that was on the steps, but she moved it. But the commentary sold it like Bianca had hit Becky with the hair, but Becky didn't sell it like she'd hit her with the hair, but Bianca did. So then Becky was like, you didn't hit me, but that was close. And then she gets hit with a backstabber, and then Sasha Banks pins her.
Boo.
Yeah. Not a huge fan of that. It was just a little bit confusing. And also Becky lost, which was
that's a decision.
Ideal. Yeah,
that's a decision.
And the thing is, you know, the alternative is either Sasha gets pinned or it's a schmoz finish, and they've done a schmoz finish for every other women's match in this feud. None of them are great options, which is why you don't really book the match.
That's what I was going to say, Pete. There you go.
Yeah.
The option is you just don't book the match because you don't have to. You put Becky Lynch up against Zelina Vega, and she has a good match and she wins. And then you put Sasha Banks on this show against Liv Morgan, and she has a good match and she wins. And then you put Bianca Belair against Carmella, and she has a good match and she wins. That's all you need to do. You don't need to have the champion losing as they go into the title match. Like, this match was really good. And it's interesting because Sasha and Becky don't have as much history together as some of the other combinations of four horsewomen. You know, like they had the one NXT match, they had their Hell in a Cell match, but otherwise they didn't really do a whole lot in between there. this match should have been like on a really big pay-per-view or something, you know? Maybe Sasha ends up a SmackDown Women's Champion, and then they can do the Survivor Series match or something. I don't know. You do a big match at a big pay-per-view between these two, and you don't need to give away the Becky Lynch first singles loss in however much time for free in a distraction finish. Like, that's the kind of thing that should be really built up to. It's the same way that they had Charlotte Flair lose her pay-per-view winning streak on like a DQ finish or a distraction finish to Bayley at Fastlane before WrestleMania. When you happen upon things like this, when you've booked someone well by accident, you leave them alone and build that to something big, you know? It's whatever. It was a good match. Thankfully, there was a lot of really good wrestling on this show, which does help a lot in my enjoyment of it. But man, the finish was bad too. Like, it wasn't even just like, oh, she lost, or oh, it was a distraction finish. It was a bad distraction finish. It's like, not ideal, but you take your wins where you can get it, and it was a good match.
And it was a good match, and we appreciate good in-ring wrestling, and this was good in-ring wrestling bar the finish. But no time to think about that. Everybody, get out the ring now. Here's Adam Pearce. Everybody, get out. We need to have the 7-hour Roman Reigns entrance. Get out now. It was abrasive how quickly he was telling all the women to get out the ring, and they brought in the table for the contract signing for Reigns and Lesnar, and Reigns came out and did his normal very, very long entrance, ad-free this time in this one. Surely you could have had him walk out quicker and had either more time in the match or more time for them to like breathe after the match and actually sell.
Get out of the way. Get out of the way. Happened? We need Roman to spend 7 minutes walking.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was a choice. Whatever. But this contract signing, aside from the length of the entrances, was really good.
I liked it.
They didn't do an overly long 15-minute promo back and forth or anything like that. This was, they came out, they did the story beat they wanted to do, and that was it. Perfect. That is all you needed from this segment. Just cut the entrances down, guys. Come on. But Reigns came out. He handed Heyman the contract. Heyman looked over the contract and said, yeah, it's all good. This is exactly what you wanted. Roman, sign it. Perfect. Hands it to Lesnar. Lesnar doesn't even look at it. Signs his name. Hands it off. And Reigns like, you idiot. You're just going to sign the contract and not even read it? And he's like, oh, it's fine. I read it earlier this morning with my advocate, Paul Heyman. I was like, oh, no.
It's so simple. It's so simple. I love it.
Oh, it was great.
This is great.
Yeah, so good. And I thought Reigns' sell of this in particular was amazing. Like, Heyman's obviously great, and we've mentioned that before. But Reigns in particular goes from like this stuff, it's like, idiot. Then as soon as he says it, his eyes are like scanning to like piece together what's happening. He's like, wait, what's going on? Did I get put into a trap? What's happening with Lesnar and him? I don't understand. Properly like selling the gravitas of like, what's Heyman done to me kind of thing. Whose side is Heyman on? Is the question. And I think it was good. I thought this was somewhat undermined by them then doing a full recap of the Crown Jewel card coming on Thursday. I would have preferred it that they just had this moment and then end the show. But that's a minor point. The build has been really good for this, and I think the intrigue of where Heyman is going to go is actually quite interesting. I think, personally, if I had to put money on it, I think that Heyman is going to turn on Lesnar and Reigns will retain. That would be my bet.
I would agree. I think Roman's going to have this title a good while longer, and he's going to do it with Paul by his side. I mean, I do indeed believe that. I thought I was ready to go into this and just hate this segment, just because we've had so many freaking contract signings of late. Like, there's one on every show, it feels like. So I'm kind of just over it. But then when it was short and very effective, I was like, all right, you did a good one. Good job. Yep. I don't want these things to be super long. I just want you to get to the point. And they got to the point in this match quick. Like that. Good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I will say, normally one of the most common things we talk about on these SmackDown reviews is, as a go-home episode, this episode wasn't very good because it didn't make me excited for the pay-per-view that's coming up. It's just a shame that it's Crown Jewel, right? Because
Sure
this,
is.
which I thought was a good go-home episode,
Yeah.
they really built the pay-per-view very well. They made the matches more exciting. They were capping off and like putting the final touches on a lot of their stories going in. Like the build to the show has been very good overall. It's just that it's in Saudi. And it's just that's just the asterisk that they can't get past for this, for me anyway. Like, even if I'm going to be on my own holiday for these next 2 weeks, so I won't be watching the show. But even if I wasn't, granted, I'd probably be doing live reactions because, champion. But if I wasn't doing live reactions and I was still around, I still wouldn't watch the show because it's a Saudi show and I just don't watch the Saudi shows. But, man, it's a shame because it's a stacked card. And they have built it well on the SmackDown side. It's a Saudi show,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame because I agree they did a really good job with this this go home show, but it's for a pay per view I don't want to watch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
God.
I would say this show was like maybe a 4 out of 5. You take out the lousy women's matches and the Happy Corbin bit. You take that out, there's a lot of stuff on this show in particular that was like really good. The 2 promos, Edge and Seth, the main event deal, Sasha and Becky was good. You had Sammy and Finn. They had the Street Profits match. That's a lot more than we typically get on a good SmackDown. So I'd say this is probably a 4 out of 5.
I also gave it a 4 out of 5. I thought it was a very good show. According to the community tab poll that we ran, a lot of people still voted for mostly the same things. 55% of people voting for a 3 out of 5 show, slightly higher on the forums, like 16% rather than like a 10% than it normally is. It's still very much majority of a 3 out of 5. I personally think that's a little bit harsh. I thought there's a lot of things to enjoy on this show. Definitely, I would have said in the 4 range, just because the quality of wrestling on the show was so much higher than normal. A lot of stuff got time to shine and really went over well. So I would have put it at a 4 personally, but can see if someone wasn't to their taste and they put it at a 3. But yeah, 4 out of 5 SmackDown, 5 out of 5 Rampage, just because that match was so freaking good. That just elevated the whole rest of the show. Brandon, don't call me out. I was tired and I've been very busy and stressed this morning. I was very behind schedule. I put 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5 option was SmackDowner, and the 2 out of 5 option was SmackDowner. Whoops.
You're a SmackDowner.
Whoa! You can't say that. Hey, you can't call me out like that, dude.
Shoot, cowboy.
So I said for the Supersized Smackdown, was it worth the extra 30 minutes? Probably not. But overall, though, if they're giving matches more time, they still had so much filler that could have been cut out to make it a 2-hour show. But if they're going to give matches more time with that, cool. That's what I want at the end of the day.
It's weird, isn't it? Like, it allows them to have longer matches, but you could just do that anyway.
You could.
Because the other thing on this show was like, there was probably about a half hour worth of video packages on this show.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't need that many. You could trim these down. Most AEW video packages are like 20 seconds on TV. Just a quick little thing. Here's what you need to know. Here are the people involved, and go. That's all you need. And this has a bit too much. And then you got Roman Reigns doing an entrance for a half hour on his own.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is hyperbole before people give me a hard time.
But overall, though, a good night of wrestling, I think.
Yes. Absolutely.
AEW and WWE, a good night of wrestling, successful Friday night. Yay for competition, right?
Well done, all.
Well done, everybody. Let's get into the rest of let's say thank you to some very special people. Those are our $25 and above Pledgehammers on our Patreon page. So we've gone a little bit long today again. There was a lot of wrestling to cover. But if you haven't been to our Patreon page yet, you should. Lots of really cool bonus content, loads of cool stuff over there. Go check it all out. But if you pledge at the $25 above tiers, you get your own custom wrestling nickname, and it gets read out on a show, much like this one. So thank you to Yanni Zayn Hamid. Woo! Woo! Thank you.
Jonathan the Headmaster Headman.
Yes, thank you. My Immortal is my favorite song, Mashy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The Schrock Master, Austin Schrock.
Yes, thank you. The Big Bad Dog, Ryan Hansen. Yes, thank you.
The Craftsman, Blake Carpenter.
Lovely, thank you very much. Peter Fiber Brantuas. Yes, thank you. ...
Dive, Dylan Cachetta. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Living in the Past, Kieran Pryor.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm so glad you got this one.
Yep. Viernes el 13º, Jason Gutierrez. Yeah.
You're getting better at that, man. That's great. Love it. The Emperor's New Groove, Nick Lama. Woo.
I like that one.
Thank you.
Yeah. And the Machine Gun, Alex Anderson. Yeah.
Thank you very much. The Machine Gun, Carl Anderson. Oh, I've been listening to the Bullet Club theme a lot lately. It's good, isn't it? Let's get into the rest of your Ultra Chats here. Last chance to get those in at WrestleTalk.com/support. The Intangible One, Cliff Beard, says, been feeling sick for the last few days, so didn't get to watch SmackDown, but Rampage humped. Put Suzuki in the world title eliminator. It also feels like he's following in Kojima's footsteps by doing a USA tour. Who could you see being the next one to do it? Who do I want to see be the next person to do it, or who do I see being the next person to do it? Because I think those are two different answers.
It's tough with everyone in the G1 right now.
True.
Honestly, if you could get Jay White doing more big matches, I would love that.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love that.
I would love to see Jay White. I'd love to see Ishii. You know what? I would love for them to do, like, space them out over the course of, like, months at a time kind of thing. Months gap between them, but do, like, Ishii and then, like, build it up to then you do, like, Tanahashi, Okada, and, like, Jay White, and then you do Kota Ibushi. And that's the big combination. You finally have, like, a Kota Ibushi, Kenny Omega thing happen with that.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Just bringing people in to do some matches. There you go.
Oh, Zack Sabre Jr. Yes.
Get ZSJ versus Bryan Danielson.
Yes.
I will melt.
Oh.
I will be inconsolable.
God. I would need to record my live reaction to that match because I think I might squirm and squeal too much. But yeah, that would be a good time. I have gone away from the Ultra Chats. There they are. 69 Intangible Sadie Deegan, hello, says, hey boys, so that Bryan Danielson versus Minoru Suzuki match kind of ruled her. The whole show was just... And then the Ultra Chat ends. Thank you, Sadie.
It did kind of rule.
It did kind of rule. You're right. The Adnap 2 says, imagine back in January, you were told that Bryan would wrestle Suzuki in AEW in front of a full capacity crowd on YouTube. Also, is this step one on the path to Bryan versus Zack Sabre Jr.?
Yes. Hope so.
I want it,
and
man.
yes, I very often now I say to myself, like, look at this picture. Look at this Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega. Or a few months ago, it was when Jon Moxley, Sting, and Eddie Kingston were just taking a picture in the ring. I was like, my brain would have melted if you showed me this like 2 years ago.
Yeah, dude. Like, even as soon ago, 6 months ago, WrestleMania, Daniel Bryan was in the main event.
Yeah.
Against Roman Reigns and Edge. And now he's facing Minoru Suzuki in AEW on YouTube on a Rampage buy-in. What's happening? What's
Absolutely
happening in
wild.
wrestling? Jack Nichols says, seriously though, one of the best matches of the year was on a pre-show to a B-show. Mad. Also, I promised I'd give a huge donation if Pete won Quizlemania, but he didn't, so I skimmed a cent off. Thank you so much, Jack Nichols. Really do appreciate it.
Yeah. I need to have a talk with you.
No, we don't need to talk about it. We don't
Mm-hmm.
have to talk about Quizlemania. I don't know what you're talking about. Quizlemania 41 didn't happen. What are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Never existed. The Legit Underboss says, who do you think Danielson should face next? And also, happy belated Thanksgiving, Tempest.
Thank you. Canadian Thanksgiving. Proper. Oh, man. Literally everyone. If he wants to go the CM Punk route and, like, wrestle the underneath guys, I want to see him face Lee Moriarty. Like, if they switched opponents and had him face Lee Moriarty, I would love that. Absolutely love that. You know, have him face Daniel Garcia. Oh, matches would be so good.
Bryan Danielson versus Adam Cole, please.
Yeah.
I know we saw it in WWE, but we didn't see it in WWE. I want I want that match in AEW, please. Thanks.
Mhm. Oh, I'm sure we'll get it. I'm sure we'll get it.
I just Adam Cole's my favorite wrestler right now. Okay, I just love Adam Cole. Hannah Allen says, proper pop for Ruby and Jericho. The crowd did the work. Printing gold, old settings include Samoa Joe, but why isn't he there yet? I think he's got a pretty decent role in WWE right now in terms of like talent, scouting, and stuff like that. So I think he's pretty set in WWE.
Yee. Indeed. It's a shame. I'd love to see him wrestle Kenny Omega and stuff, but it doesn't appear like that's in the cards at the moment. So,
I mean, never say never, but it seems unlikely at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Mullins says, I'm so happy that Junior Dos Santos has a safer place to work. He is done in the UFC. Dana White was begging him to retire after his 4th consecutive bad knockout this year. I'd love to see AEW giving guys a second chance to entertain people in a safer way. That's good.
Right
I
on.
agree.
Yes, absolutely. Shout out to Junior Dos Santos. He looked like he was having fun last night.
Yeah. Laxmi, who's got their member chat, said, one of my favorite spots in Punk Sydal was how Sydal dodged the Pepsi plunge and responded with a kick to the head.
That was the Pepsi twist, sir.
Pepsi twist.
The Pepsi plunge we have not seen
yet. Very different. That needs to be brought out with Full Gear or some big pay-per-view match for Punk, for sure. Jack Nichols says, I love AEW. I got a message from my friend, the Cambridge great Peter Nixon, this morning, who told me to drop everything and watch Suzuki versus Danielson. I jumped out of bed and was in awe of the entire spectacle, watching the rest tonight. Oh, it's a good time.
Well, it sure is. You've already seen the best part, I would imagine. But
yeah.
Oh, that match is so good.
Laxmi says, this may sound a bit WWE, but I want to see an angle where Paige wins the title with Dark Order holding off the rest of the Elite. Later, with the Bucks down, Cole sneaks in and kicks Omega's head off, going, did you really think all was forgiven?
I don't know when it's going to happen. I'm very much looking forward to the Adam Cole turn on the Elite, because it'll happen at some point. There's going to be some turn with Adam Cole, and we're going to get Cole and Omega, and it's going to be great. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I'm looking forward to seeing it.
I get the feeling that it might... I don't know how I'd feel about it, because I feel like I want to see Cole turn on the Elite, but I feel like we might see the Elite kick Kenny out, if that makes sense. So
it could see that too, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know how I feel about it, because I don't want Omega to go back face again, because I think he's still got so much legs in his heel character right now. But maybe if he goes face and just becomes best bout machine Kenny and just does really awesome matches all the time, maybe that would be fine. Maybe we can have the best wrestler in the world do great wrestling. I don't know. Maybe
and it'll be okay. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah. Matthew Robinson says, it is crazy how you can watch both of these shows, and besides the Roman Reigns story, the rest seems so 180 from each other. That's how I've gotten a friend to watch AEW. All he's told me is he wants to watch more wrestling, and I told him to watch AEW now. I mean, in general, yes, I'd agree with you. Yeah, I'd agree with you, and it's always good to get more people into wrestling. That's a good time. S. Morgan or Smorgan says, which one do you think would be the best rename for Adam Cole? Budge or Fluff Flanagan or Stretch Blur?
No. Muff Flanagan.
The Boom. What did I say?
You said Fluff Flanagan.
Oh, I was.
These are all being the Elite
Muff
jokes.
Flanagan. Yeah.
It's all about the boobs.
The Boom. Yeah.
No. It's all about the boobs. You're John Silver. You should know this.
That's true, yeah. Anonymous says, honestly, I wish Rampage viewership to go down just because I can see SmackDown moving to 3 hours if Rampage viewers goes down. Wait, so you want
to see that? That's a terrible idea.
I wish Rampage viewership to go down just because I can see SmackDown moving to 3 hours if Rampage viewers go down. So you want 3 hours of SmackDown, right?
You're a psychopath. This is why you're anonymous.
You're crazy. Yeah. You're crazy. I don't want another hour of Rampage. I don't want another hour of SmackDown. I don't want more too much wrestling. Don't do more. Please don't do more. Even if it's good wrestling, don't want it. Hannah Allen says, for what it's worth, I have no idea what's going on in WWE. I watched Rampage and it was brilliant. Does Rampage need to extend the show? #LIW 44 life. I don't want them to. I don't want more Rampage.
I think it works out fine right now. It's as it should be. 1 hour show with good matches.
Yeah.
That's all I want.
Matthew Robinson says, I do think WWE did pick the right stuff to go up against AEW for half an hour. Punk against Sydal may not have been the best match. Also, the last line of Brock getting the best of Roman after he called him a dumb farmer by bringing in Paul again. I think, the last half hour of SmackDown I thought was a good choice. Yeah, it was good stuff on that last half an hour for sure.
Yep. No, I agree. SmackDown did a good show this week. You know, if you watch SmackDown instead of Rampage, it's not like you were an absolute fool and you chose the wrong show. Like, no, this would be a week where if you watched either one, I'd be like, yeah, you probably saw a good show.
Yeah. Matthew Robinson again says, even though I said the AEW match may not have been the best, I'm glad they are not letting WWE affect their show and story building. I agree. They're putting on stuff to counter program WWE, but they're not letting it affect the stuff they have in place, which is good.
Indeed.
Sticking to their guns. Laxmi says, on the SmackDown side, the Balor, Sammy, and Sasha Becky were pretty good. And IMO Brock is an underrated talker, only more underrated for his selling and for perfectly timing his kickouts. Also, Pete, could Ollie cost you the belt at Crown Jewel? No, I'm sending him my picks. It's going to be my picks that will be coming through his mouth. It's still me that's picking the things. I'm not risking this title because of Ollie. All right, I'm not having my reign, which will be, if I retain at Crown Jewel, I will be the longest reigning Jam That champion of all time. I'm not having that taken away by an incompetent manservant. My picks, not his.
Word.
So there you go. I can't remember what the rest of the Ultra Chat said.
Brock Lesnar is a funny man.
And Brock Lesnar is an underrated talker. I think when he has very short promos, if he has like a line or two, I think he's great. Any more than that, and sometimes he can get a bit flustered. But
he's the most unintentionally funny wrestler I've ever seen in my life.
Let's do this.
That's the best of the best of the best of the best of the best that this world has to offer. I'm the beast and the best in the world. Paul, say something stupid. Every word of that promo is comedy gold. Every single word.
Oh, it's so good. I love it.
He's a perfect wrestler.
He's great. Leftover from yesterday's WrestleTalk podcast show, Robert Waters said, touching on NXT 2.0, in your opinion, does MSK fit the new vibe or not? They should, but I don't think they do.
Yes, correct answer.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Mr. Gajilli says, points for Denise if she gets Jam That Jam on the show. This is in reference to Denise now doing commentary for Mission Pro Wrestling. Congratulations, Denise, by the way. Points for Denise if she gets Jam That Jam on the show. Do you have any other things Denise could slip into her commentary and we only know she's doing? And has she asked her granddad about that legend yet? Yes, this was Adam and Denise solved a murder on the Patreon mailbag. Go to our Patreon. You can listen to that show where they solve a murder. But they spoke about it, I believe, on either the podcast intro and outro or whatever. But it was very funny. Other WrestleTalk, the Ultrachats, last bits. Keith Lloyd says, what does Tempest know about wrestling? He's just one of those hardcore wrestling fans.
Yeah. How dare I?
Yeah, I know. You seen those comments from Roman Reigns, Tempest?
Indeed. Yeah.
I can't believe the AEW fan base. It's all those hardcore fans. Ugh.
Crazy.
Hardcore wrestling. Matthew Robinson says, who in WWE do you think would benefit the most with a switch to AEW? Oh, how much time you got?
Yeah. Chad Gable.
Ali. Yes. Chad Gable.
Mustafa Ali. Freaking all of them.
Yeah. Misha Sumra doing his Memberg chat says, happy birthday, Chopper. Not my birthday. Enjoy your holiday. # Eternal Champion. Tempest, you're reeking of awesomeness. Keep bringing the insights. LIW for life.
Reeking of awesomeness. Damn right.
For the benefit of those with flash photography.
Hell yeah.
That's good. That is going to do it for the Ultra Chats. That is going to do it for this supersized WrestleTalk podcast. See, we did an extra half an hour on this show as well. And this one will not be ad-free for you watching on catch-up. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. And as I mentioned at the start of the show, if anyone's just tuning in or watching on catch-up now, I am now off for 2 weeks. This is my final show that I'm doing for 2 weeks. I'm now going to be off on holiday. I will be going away from Twitter and Discord and Instagram and everything for 2 weeks. So I'll be back after Crown Jewel, after everything. and I'll come back and see what state WrestleTalk's in and how it's going to be after that. But Ollie will be defending my championship on my behalf, even with my picks at Crown Jewel. So don't worry, I'm still a fighting champion, even when I go off on holiday. But I'll see y'all in 2 weeks. Thank you, everyone. And thank you for watching this episode. Really do appreciate it. If you're watching on Catch Up, please press the videos that have just appeared on the screen to catch up with more awesome WrestleTalk podcast content, and the button in the middle that will make you become a Pledgehammer over on our Patreon page. I have been Chopper Pete Quinnell, your Jam That Champion, and I still will be when I come back. And I've been joined by my intangible co-host, Tempest the Wrestler, LIW for life. Jam that jam, everyone.